Hello, friends. Welcome back to Love Wrestling. Spencer Love here, and usually I abide by the Larry David rule of January 7th, hard out, but happy New Year to each and every one of you, including you, Charli Evans. Thank you for joining me here today. It is thoroughly appreciated. I guess thanks for joining me here today, for you tomorrow. But how are you doing? Happy New Year's. How's 2025 treating you so far?
It's great. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it as well, especially when I know you're on the precipice of a couple of big events for yourself, including, of course, your match coming up tomorrow, I would guess, with Shazza McKenzie. How excited are you to get back in the ring with, I guess, the individual that you had your first ever match with? You know, it's got to have a little bit extra in the history end of things, but how cool is it to get the opportunity again, especially after she's been over here for the last year and a bit?
It's super exciting. Like the last time that Shazza and I had a singles match was in England in like 2019.
Oh, wow.
And then before that was like 2017 in Australia. So like we really haven't had many singles matches in the last 7 years. So I'm super excited, and I'm really happy that it's happening at Crowbar.
Yeah, it's very exciting too. You know, Shazza for me has been really a conduit for me getting more involved in Australian professional wrestling. Obviously, you look at people like Zarya and Rhea Ripley and even the Iconics. But in your opinion, why has Australian wrestling really seemed to hit a new level over the last little bit? For me, I'm based in Canada. I really think there are a lot of parallels in that there's been a lot of really talented people that maybe haven't gotten the eyes on them that I think a lot of people would deserve sometimes, right? So 100%. What do you sort of attribute the growth to?
You know, I just think Australia is so secluded and so far away from the rest of the world. Like, it really is crazy when you think about it. We're just, you know, kind of by ourselves, but we have such an immense talent pool of, you know, so many people. And I think, you know, without the likes of Madison Eagles and Shazza and Robbie and, you know, Jess and Cass going out, Rhea Ripley, like all these people that have had to leave in order for us to get eyes on us. So, you know, I really do give them all the props in the world that they've, you know, had to move and go on to crazier, more insane things just so we can get a little bit of recognition. But it's really starting to pick up. I'm excited. I love that, you know, it's so accessible now that we do just have PWA shows live on YouTube for free. And I think, you know, that's bringing a lot of eyes, because the production level that we have and the talent that we have, I really don't think there's much that is comparable, honestly. So it's just a matter of getting eyes on us now.
Is that one of the biggest reasons that you've been inspired to travel so much? You know, you were recently in the UK. I know it's been about a year since you were last in Japan, but you've been everywhere yourself too, toot your own horn, right? So is that maybe one of the reasons that you wanted to start to branch out as well too, is maybe there were some difficulties getting some eyes on the scene out there?
100%. Like, you know, when I moved to the UK, it was 2017. I was only 3 years in, really, but in the space of that 3 years, you know, I was wrestling the same people over and over and over again, because at the time, you know, there really only was the Jessica Troys, the Shazza McKenzies, and the Harley Wonderlands for me to wrestle. Yeah. And maybe a Rhea Ripley in Melbourne occasionally. Yeah. Like, there really wasn't that many people for me to wrestle. So I was, you know, at a point where I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to get any better. I'm not going to learn anything else unless I do leave. And I'm so grateful that I did. Like, best decision ever. Yeah. Then I could also bring back, and, you know, like, I learned like a lot of the British style. And while I was there, I also went to Japan, and like I was in the dojo. So when I come back and I can give, you know, all the newer people, oh, well, this is what I learned. Like, I think Australian wrestling has such a cool hybrid style of so many different places, because we've been forced to go out and travel the world. And, you know, Robbie comes back with all these amazing things from Japan. And like, you know, it's just like a culmination of so many different styles all meshed into one. I think it's awesome.
I want to talk to you a little bit. I know we're going to backtrack a little bit, but about Madison Eagles, because everybody that I've interviewed from out that way has spoken about her influence. Obviously, being a Canadian, I'm only a little bit familiar, admittedly. Maybe talk to me about her influence on the wrestling scene over there, because like I said, it is without fail that every time I talk to an Australian, she's brought up.
She is, like, when I say the GOAT, I mean the GOAT. Like, without her, there would be no scene. Mm-hmm. truly, like, she was like, really like the first one to go and stay in America for an extended period of time and open the door to Shimmer, like, for all of us. Like, she is the best wrestler that I've ever been in the ring with, that I've ever watched. Like, at training, we get to learn from her, and just the way she explains things and does things. I'm just like, oh my, like, we are so fucking lucky that she, wants to be a part of it. And I just think, like, she has never got the flowers that she deserved, because I think, the time if she started 5-10 years later, she'd be main eventing WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But she was just at this time, and she had to, like, deal with so much shit, and she, pushed through all of that. And the culture that she's cultivated at PWA, especially with, equality and training exactly the same as everyone else. And I think it's fucking incredible. Like, she is just, I can't say enough good things about her.
Yeah. Well, that's always wonderful to hear. Always give people their flowers when they get the opportunity to. Like I said, everybody's mentioned her. I was reading an interview while I was doing my prep for this too, and you mentioned Madison, but you also mentioned Miko Satomura. Now, I want to get your opinion, or I guess your thoughts on why she was, I guess, the other person that you mentioned. And I can't remember when the interview was from, whether it was yesterday or 10 years ago, but just talk about her influence on you as well too.
Well, I met Miko when I first moved to Japan. She came and did a King of Trios that was actually in the UK when I first moved to England, sorry. And, she was the one that invited me out to Sendai Girls, and Japan was always like a massive goal for me. So, to have Miko Satomura be like, oh, would you like to? Yes. Yes, I would. I would love that. And she was so good to Millie and I when we first went to Sendai, and gave us all these opportunities. So I really credit her so much, because I feel around that time, like the 2019 time, was when I really, like, kind of was starting to, like, figure it out and be like, okay, like, this is, like, who I want to be as a wrestler. And I attribute a lot of that to Sendai Girls and Miko.
How wild is it to you when I say that you've been in professional wrestling for a decade?
It's fucked.
I'm going to ask you about your 2014 or your 2024 here as well too. But, like, when you look back on it, like, I don't want to get all reflective in the middle of the interview. That's what the end of this thing's for. But how wild is it to you to look back on a decade in professional wrestling and look at where you've sort of gotten yourself to this point? Because again, we say a decade, but you're 27 years old. It's not as though the best days of your career aren't still ahead of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is crazy. Like, I think it all sort of just, like, blurs into one after a while. Mm-hmm. And, like, the years just go super quick, and, like, the pandemic and all that stuff. But, like, when you really do sit down and go, oh, I've done this and this and this, and, like, I've met all these people, and, like, I've made these friendships, it is really fucking cool, because I've literally got to travel the world, and I never would have done that without wrestling. Mm-hmm. And, like, just met the most in, like, literally met my husband and my best friends, and, like, it is just fucking crazy, isn't it?
Absolutely. Is there maybe something to this point that, like, you're, I guess, maybe not most proud of, but, like, a career highlight or something to this point that you can sort of plant your flag in so far?
Definitely Japan. Always Japan. Japan. And then just, like, being proud of, like, sticking to, like, my morals and in what I believe in, and, like, being authentic to myself. I think that was, like, that's a big thing for me, because it would have been so easily to just stray into whatever to fit a mold, but I'm proud of just, like, sticking to myself.
I was going to say, you've been through, again, in the decade, like, the best of the best, and I would have to assume the worst of the worst in some way, shapes, or forms as well too, right? Yeah. I did see as well, call them New Year's resolutions, goals, whatever, but I did see you want to get back to Japan in 2025, not just for yourself, but with Millie McKenzie. How's it been working with her over the last little bit? Again, obviously she's wildly talented, but what's the experience been like there?
It's so good. The fact that we've, done 2 tours together this year in England, when I really thought I would never go back to England, is so cool. And she's just so underrated and so good, and we work so well together, and just being able to even just travel to shows with her and just hang around her again is just amazing. And I think, this past year we've put out some of our best stuff, because I only could have imagined what we would have done if not for COVID, because we were really like, we really started kind of hitting our stride, but having the time off and, you know, kind of reassessing and figuring out what we really want to do as a team and making it work, being on two fucking different ends of the fucking world.
Yeah. That'd be the easiest.
Yeah, no, but like we've made it work. Like, I think, you know, we've kind of come in with this complete package and we know who we are and we look great and the wrestling speaks for itself. And I would love to take it worldwide in 2025. You know, Millie's never wrestled in America, and I think America is missing out.
I was going to say, that's kind of mind-blowing, to be honest with you.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I think, you know, I think we do so well. There's so many like little matches that I always like watching, like GCW, and I'm like, fuck, like Millie and I, we can do so good here. So yeah, like Japan, the UK, obviously, and the US and Australia. Would love to bring her back down here, but I really want like Medusa Complex worldwide 2025.
Did I read right that you guys had a couple of matches in Spain last year too?
Yeah, I went to Spain.
What was that like? Because I admittedly, to my own what would be the right word? To my own discredit, I guess, I have no idea what the wrestling scene out there is like. So what was it like for you guys to get out there?
It was amazing. Like, Millie's wrestled in Spain a few times before, I believe. But yeah, we did like a 3-day tour, and we were in like 2 different areas. We did Barcelona and Valencia, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was really cool. The crowds were like super interactive. I had no idea what they were saying, but it was really cool. So I was like, it had some crazy matches. Everyone treated us so well. The country itself is beautiful. So yeah, that was unreal.
Very, very cool. Now, Medusa Complex worldwide. I know, obviously, you want to wrestle Eddie Kingston. I think everybody has asked you at this point. But what else have you got for goals going into 2025 for the year, Charles?
PWA Heavyweight Championship. Literally, like, I'm so focused on, you know, PWA at the moment. So I need that.
Well, we are heading into, of course, PWA Drag Race. I am Tag Race. I was going to say I'm a sucker for great branding. Are you a Drag Race fan yourself?
I am.
Oh my God. Perfect.
I'm very excited for this show.
You love the branding as much as I do. I'm real excited for this one. Admittedly, I've got so much catch up to do over the last couple of seasons, but like, real excited on this one. Chef's kiss to whoever does your posters. Is that maybe the goal? I didn't see, admittedly, a match announced up to the point that we were recording this interview, but maybe I'm here to get some scoops. What are you eyeing? Are you going for Jessica Troy's PWA Heavyweight Championship on January 31st? Or what's maybe the game plan for Charli Evans?
Well, we'll have to see how Jess is, because we might have snapped her ankle by accident. Didn't mean it. But I mean, she's a coward, so she probably won't want to do it, will she?
I am not here to stir the pot. I am just here to ask questions, Charli Evans. I quite happen to like Jessica Troy as well, so I ain't here to get in the middle of old friendships or maybe old friendships. But the PWA Heavyweights Championship, of course, is the next goal on your mind. But January 31st, give us a little bit of info. Where can people get tickets? Where can people tune in and see the latest and greatest from Charli Evans and the PWA?
Please check out PWA Australia on all social media. It's at PWA Australia, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We stream our shows live and free on YouTube. So there's really no excuses there.
No, absolutely not.
Charli Evans for free. I don't know why.
To be quite honest with you, free $99 is my favorite price, but you guys have a great product over there. It's been a blast getting to learn a little bit more about what you guys have going on down there in Australia. It's been a blast chatting with you today, Charli. Thank you very, very much. And thank y'all for tuning in. I guess I'm from Texas now. Thank y'all for tuning in right here on Love Wrestling. Give us a follow wherever podcasts are played, videos are viewed, or awesome content is created by awesome people. And stay tuned for a lot more, hopefully great conversations with Charli Evans. We'll see you sooner rather than later, I'd like to think, right?
Yes.
Heck yeah. See, that's what you call a cheap plug and a great interview. That's hopefully for the future. Thanks again, friends. We'll see you on the next one.